I just read this great article about Google Glass. Um, I think what I liked about the article, though, was hearing about Google Glass. I found the experience of reading the article, it wasn't, subpar or anything horrible like that. It made me realize that there, it made me think that we're at this weird sort of in between point where we just discovered that you can make journalism beautiful online this last maybe couple of years, and now everyone is rushing to beautify their sites, and yet I feel like there's something missing in the thoughtfulness of the design. And so I'm going to talk about a couple of things that jumped out at me. The first is the order of the images. So you meet two people in this story. There's the reporter, Joshua T. I can't pronounce his name, Topolowski or something. Sure. Um, and he is this guy, but he's talking about a man and a woman working on Google Glass. The woman is her and the man is him. We hear about this man who's like infectiously bubbly. And this is that guy. That picture just doesn't capture that feeling for me. It seems like they were more concerned with, shallow depth of field, making things look pretty than they were um, with telling the same story that the words were, matching the rest of the resources to the words. And it wasn't just the pictures that they chose, period, but the order in which they showed them. This is sort of the first view of the pieces of glass that we get in depth. We get them on his face, but somehow the picture is more about him. Again, we see them here, and yet somehow by the time I got to this point, I was lost. And it wasn't until we came back out to the actual pictures of glass that I could spend a moment with them, take them in. And on the one hand, it was sort of an interesting emotional experience. But on the other hand, I think when you drop the ball in small ways, that you lose the opportunity to get people to trust you. And when people don't trust you, they think that your decisions are mistakes. Another thing that caught my eye was, to my earlier question, why aren't there captions for these photos? It seems like a stylistic decision more than a useful or practical one. And as I moved through the content, I realized that we sort of have these side pieces of content. These images are sort of the side story happening along the main story, and it brings me to this point about these giant, beautiful quotes. I feel like, especially in this article, they were used so frustratingly. And my favorite example is at the very end here. In the city, glass makes you feel more powerful, better equipped, and definitely less diverted. And then we read the same sentence again. It just feels shoddy. And if you wanted to make it more clear, I feel like there should be a way to do it without repeating yourself. And if that was really their true intent, I feel like a design that felt more intentional would let me swallow that kind of thing. And then here at the end, it's the first time they give me the quote before I read the text in the paragraph. It's this lack of consistency, I think, also that really contributes to this lack of believed intentionality, or believable intentionality. Anyway, interesting article. Can't wait to get my hands on glass. And I'm glad that the web has gotten to a point where we get to whine and complain about these nuances.